Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, and today I'm bringing you a little discussion video. This is one that I've been meaning to do for a few days now, but yeah, so much news. Now that it's the weekend, I finally have time to talk about this. So, Hazza Plumbob over on Twitter made this super detailed mock-up of what a create a world tool for The Sims 4 could possibly be like if they ended up doing one. I'm not going to spoil the whole document for you, but I'll leave a link to it in the video description below. But just to go through a few examples of how much thought was put into this, there's a lot of things that are considered. Here, there's all of these little details that you can change for your world to make it really, unique, such as the length of day and the length of night. For example, if you want to make a world that is really good for vampires, like Forgotten Hollow is, then yeah, you can make the night much longer. Or you can have there be not much vehicle traffic, or turn pedestrian traffic on or off completely. And you can also decide whether you want strays to spawn in the world. And even with seasons, climate controls are considered. So that's really interesting. And one thing I wouldn't have thought of myself for sure is the custom greetings. Wow, that is just immensely detailed, and that'll come in handy for making worlds that have different sorts of cultures. And there's also the option to make it a residential world or a vacation world, so this would actually be a really great way to have a better selection of vacation worlds through having lots of custom ones. The document also goes into a lot of detail on how exactly you can draw things like roads and bridges and retaining walls, and you can also see a sample selection of different buildings that you can place down in your world. What's really cool is that SimGuru Grant even commented on it. He says, this is offensively thoughtful and detailed. This is the Simmer of the Day and Simmer of the Week as far as I'm concerned. We are actively discussing what a creative world-like experience can mean for The Sims 4. We have some good ideas. For a while, I completely lost hope that create a world was ever going to happen for The Sims 4, especially this long after the base game release. So, yeah, the possibility of it still coming is pretty exciting in my opinion. And, well, I mean, if it really does happen, I don't think we'll see this until at least a year from now, because I can still imagine this tool being a huge undertaking to make. I mean, think back to Create a World with The Sims 3. It never officially made it out of the beta phase. Just think about that. And I remember I never really actually used it myself. I remember a lot of world creators were really fighting this tool in order to make their world. It was pretty buggy and unstable, and apparently crashing a lot on them. So hopefully the Sims 4 Create a World tool can be much more stable, especially since we're not creating open worlds in this theoretical scenario. On top of that, SimGuru Grant also replied to a question about whether we'd have the option to create apartment buildings for those of us who own the City Living expansion pack. And he says, in the first pass, probably not, but it's listed as a long-term option. Again, just hypothetical early explanations. And that would be awesome if they were able to implement apartments into this theoretical Create a World tool, because the fact that apartments are restricted to San Myshuno is probably my biggest problem with that expansion pack. So if we were able to place apartments in new custom worlds and share them at no cost, that would be just so amazing. Plus, Create a World would really solve my issues with space in The Sims 4, because I'm often running out of new places to move my new Sims into. And there's also the fact that if we were able to share custom worlds through the gallery, that's just so much easier than what we had to deal with the launcher for The Sims 3. Gosh, I hate that thing so much. And to get you all even more excited for the possibility of a Create a World tool, here's some custom map designs that Hazza Plumbob made in the past. So look at this, Manta Reef. I need this one in my life. like, gosh, this looks so cool. Like, there's the beach, and then you kind of have like your typical grassy area, but there's also a pier. And then what interests me the most are the underwater domes. Now that would really make it stand out in comparison to other worlds that we have in The Sims 4. And it actually reminds me of a place that you can live within the story mode of the console version of The Sims 2, where you actually are living in this underwater dome and you can see all the sea life going by. Like, even though I was playing it on the GameCube, it looked really impressive for its time. But to see that with The Sims 4's art style and graphics, it's just like, whoa! Like, it would blow my mind, I think. Like, that would just be so amazing. Even if Create a World were to never happen, I really would love to see Max's create a world like this one. And in light of Seasons being just around the corner, Snowflake Village could be a pretty neat one to see. I can almost imagine Maxis doing this, not necessarily as a homeworld, but as a vacation destination. So you have like that winter theme, and they can put in things like the snowboard halfpipe, because I highly doubt that's going to be in Seasons at this point. And yeah, I don't know, it could be really cute. And yeah, I really like the concept. To shift things more over to the side of fantasy, we have Sixa City, and oh man, this looks epic. I know there's Sixim already with Get to Work, but the thing is, that's a hidden neighborhood. It's not somewhere you can actually live. So I think it would be a really nice compliment to Get to Work to have an alien world at some point. And yeah, like, this looks really interesting. And I mean, if it doesn't come in a pack, then yeah, it would be really great if we can make it ourselves and provide it for free instead of it getting some sort of controversy like My First Pet stuff. Next up, we have Ville d'Amore, and I really like this one too. It's a very Italian-inspired world from what I can tell, and interesting to see like the water be like all these pinks and oranges. It's really nice. And I really love Monte Vista in The Sims 3, and while this is also kind of like an Italian-inspired world, it's not the same, and that's a good thing. I like having worlds that are a bit different instead of just repeating the same themes over and over. Next up, we have Mana Llama Llama. So this is a pretty cool concept too. Like, this is a tropical world, and I know many of us want this, especially as a vacation destination. However, even though I often bring up the idea of having a tropical island game pack, maybe the expansion pack team could do a vacation destination for once. It would be interesting to see how they would handle that with like the full budget and everything. So that could be really interesting. Like, there's so much more they could do with a tropical destination compared to like the other ones that we've had so far. Especially when you consider things like ocean swimming and scuba diving and boats. So yeah, this would be a really cool one to see. And there actually are a couple of beaches on this map, so I'm assuming that Has a Plumbob is like, okay, yeah, this is the world where ocean swimming gets reintroduced. I also noticed some hotel icons on there, so yeah, it'd be really cool if we could run our own hotels too, instead of just being able to stay at them. We also have this Japanese-inspired world called Yamataki Village. It would be pretty interesting to see how a Japanese world would look in The Sims 4, even though that is something that we've had in The Sims 2, but yeah, I think it'd still be fine to get a Japanese world a bit later. Like, I want a tropical world first, for sure, but yeah, I think a Japanese world could still potentially be pretty interesting. And I like how there's some houses out on the water too. It's not like the underwater domes, but still, I think that could be fairly exciting. I could just imagine it being like so serene and peaceful living out on those lots. And it would actually work really well for spas too. And last but certainly not least, we have Mount Magma. And this is probably the most intriguing one to me because, in my opinion, this one kind of treads the line between realism and fantasy, because from what I can tell, this still is on planet Earth or Sim Earth, whatever you want to call it, and not on another planet, but it's just that it's near an active volcano. So you have this very like sciencey looking community that is probably like studying this volcano. So it's like, okay, it's still somewhat realistic, but it's not a place you would normally think of living, and maybe that's for the best, because if the volcano erupts, yeah, lots more fire than in your usual Sims world. And now that I think about it, that could be a really interesting feature to make this sort of world unique. So yeah, if this were to ever actually happen, bring it on. And that's all of the concepts that I wanted to show you. So I hope you enjoyed all of them, and geez, like HazaPlumbob, you're so talented. I will link HazaPlumbob's Twitter in the video description below. I just really hope that with the Create a World tool, it doesn't create more problems, because I don't want it to be like where if you have more than a few custom worlds, it'll really like make your game unstable or implode your saves. So yeah, there is that to consider. I think there probably would have to be some sort of limit eventually, even if it's like, I don't know, 100. But I think that would have to be in place so that you don't have people blowing up their games and blaming EA for it. But feel free to let me know which worlds you'd like to see or which worlds you'd like to create in the comment section below. I've pretty much already laid out the worlds that I want to see just by going over some of HazaPlumbob's concepts here, like especially a tropical world and one that has underwater domes like Manta Reef, and some sort of like really fantasy worlds that relates to aliens. So yeah, they've done some really great worlds for The Sims 4 in my opinion so far. Some of my favorites in the whole franchise, but I mean, there's still so many more that they can do. And yeah, like worlds are actually one of the things that I look forward to most for future content. But feel free to leave a like or a comment or even subscribe, because it lets me know that you like my channel and my videos, and it helps you keep up to date more easily with the latest content for me. I do videos on The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!